Welcome, everyone. Hey, this podcast explores various aspects of addiction, potentially focusing on personal stories of recovery, scientific perspectives, societal impacts, or related topics. We also feature discussions with experts, individuals in recovery, therapists, and advocates to offer insight and support to those affected by addiction or seeking more information about it. Welcome to another episode of The Other Side of Addiction. I am your host, Al Richards. Excuse me. And today we got a killer topic: being paid to be an alcoholic. Go figure with this one, right? And we're going to be talking about this with our guest today, Jim Stevens. Jim, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to be here.
Thank you for having me. And disclaimer, I have been a little bit under the weather, so sorry for the pale skin and the scratchy voice, but I'm feeling much better. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Well, good. I'm glad you're feeling better. And before I
Yeah.
forget, those people who refer others to me, I always like to give them a shout out at the beginning of the show. I want to say thank you to my lovely, lovely friend Shalise Shalise for getting us connected. So thank you so much, Shalise. I
I know
greatly appreciate it.
Shalise.
What's that?
I've known Shalise a very long time.
Yes, you have apparently.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Jim, my gosh, this topic about being paid to be an alcoholic.
Yes,
Is this
sir.
true? Did you get
Yes,
paid to be an alcoholic?
pretty much. I come from the film world. I started, way, way, way back, but they essentially they give you what's called a per diem, which is money in your pocket. Well, especially when we're on location. But they feed you on set, so you don't need to use your per diem for anything. And then you're putting in 16, 17-hour days. And what are you going to spend that money on? But everyone goes to the bar, or there's a bar at the hotel that we're at, and that's where everyone meets up, and everyone spends their per diem that day. I mean, they give it to you every day. And so you go right to the bar, and then you drink as much as you can until you fall flat on your face, because after working 16, 17 hours, you think you just want to go right to bed, but you don't. You want to have some kind of a life. I'm in Foley, Alabama. Let's see what Foley, Alabama has to offer. And you drink your per diem's worth, and then you wake up and hungover, and usually you still have half a bottle sitting there, or the other party favors that come with the Hollywood lifestyle, and you got another 17-hour day to get through.
Wow. You
Rinse
know,
and repeat.
I can see probably where cocaine is a lot of that because when you're drinking that much and you do have to get up and go to work the next day, I mean, what else can kind of get you going again, right? To make it through another
Adderall.
16, 17 hours. Adderall as well. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But you're not swallowing Adderall. You're snorting Adderall. Might as well be cocaine.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
So
nothing worse when someone hands you a 10 milligram Adderall. You're like, what am I supposed to do with this? That won't even wake me up.
and it's so easy from what I understand. And the reason why I say I understand, because I had Brianne Davis on my show, oh my gosh, almost 3 years ago. And she's a Hollywood movie star. She's
Right.
played in Lutheran and a lot of different type of series. And I think she was on Blue Bloods for a little bit. And she talked about in the Hollywood life, everything is there at your fingertips. All you got to do is say something and people go get it for you.
You don't even have to say it. You
Wow.
just you don't even have to necessarily, you allude to it. And not to mention just going to any of the parties. It's like it's not even illegal. It's just it's not like you have to go into a back bathroom like you do at the bar. You just wherever and everywhere. I think the only things that they would really hide from you is I didn't see needles. And I wasn't into the needle stuff, but I'm sure there was people doing it. But other than that, I mean, out in the open, blow and smoking weed, drinking, yeah, whatever. It didn't matter.
Wow.
Ecstasy, people, yeah, just whatever. What do you like? Someone's got it.
Yeah.
And if they don't, yeah, they make two phone calls and someone's there because they all want to come to that party.
Holy
The
cow.
after parties are stupid crazy.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine that they are. You know, you hear things, but until you're probably there, involved
Right.
with it, you couldn't really grasp the whole concept of it.
The seedy side of it, because just to kind of give some context to your listeners. So I started as an actor. My brothers are all actors. We're called the Stevens brothers here locally in Utah. And those who know who we are, like we've been making movies together for 30 years. We were the bad guys in Punch Drunk Love with Adam Sandler. I've done movies with Anthony Hopkins. I've, both my brothers have been on Yellowstone, The Crow 3. They've done How the West Was Won with Robert Redford. Like we've been constantly working for 30 years. And I mean, I was the Arctic Circle guy for 3 years. Like I was on all their commercials for 3 years for Arctic Circle. Like we just been getting paid, and then I slowly got behind the camera and started doing more and more because I want to direct, and I still act, but I do more directing and producing. And so I've been working on a TV show called Relative Race for BYU TV, all over the country, and none of them are Mormon. They're all raging alcoholics, and we go all
Wow.
over the country. But yeah, so if I say the Stevens brothers, you can just Google us. There's David Stevens, Nathan Stevens, and Jimmy Stevens, and if you just Google us, our IMDb's will pop up. And mine actually, because I kept changing my name. I'd be James Stevens, Jim Stevens, Jim Smooth, Jimmy Smooth, James Smooth, because I thought it was funny. But now that I'm getting older and I'm trying to combine all of my IMDb pages, there's so many of them. So people go to my IMDb page and there's some cool stuff on there, but there's like probably 2/3 of it's out somewhere else. So
Wow.
my own fault. But my brothers have a list as long as your arm for movies that they've done. Um, and so, but anyways, and so the CD part of that comes with it through the years, like little brother, almost got to be Pyro in X-Men 2, but he wouldn't sleep with Bryan Singer. Like just the most ridiculous, and people were like, that's not a real story. And then Bryan Singer just got in a bunch of trouble for Me Too. Like, yes, it was. Like, and it's just, then you show up to these huge after parties after you get done doing these movies and hanging out with Fiona Apple, and who knows who else is there, and you never know. And I love the movie process, but it kind of got turned into, I never thought I'd be an alcoholic. Like I drank, partied, but then I had some, traumatic experiences, and then it just kept getting away from me to where all of a sudden I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. And then it got to the point where the thing that I was doing all the time got in the way, and then I was no longer reliable as a filmmaker because I was drunk all the time.
Yeah.
And now they blame me. I was drinking the poison.
You know, it's crazy how the clause basically slowly starts sinking into you, right? You know,
Yeah.
because you know, I tried cocaine for the first time in my life at age 17 when I was working construction. Fell in love with it immediately, right? However, it wasn't something that we did all the time. It was just like a once a month type thing that we did, not realizing what it was going to do to my life years down the road. And then when I started doing it again in my late 30s into my 40s, it become an every weekend thing, every Friday and Saturday night. And it started out that same way again, where it was just here and there, here and there, here and there, and then pretty soon it was, every other weekend. Then next thing I knew, it was every weekend, and it ended up being every weekend for 8 years. And
And it's Monday, then it's Tuesday, then it's
right?
Wednesday,
Well,
and
luckily, I didn't go that far.
yeah,
Luckily, Friday and Saturday, and then Sunday, everything would stop till Friday again. However, it still had its claws into me. I don't know how many times I said, "Okay, I'm not gonna call my guy today. I'm not gonna call my guy today. It's Friday, right? I'm
and he
not gonna
calls you.
call." I come even 10 o'clock. I'm not gonna call him. 12 o'clock. Nope, nope. I got this. I got this. I'm not gonna call him. 2 o'clock hits. Oh hell. Hey bud, you want to meet after work? you know? And
Yeah.
it just grabs you. It grabs you and takes you down a whole different path. And then one day you do wake up and you're going, "What the hell am I doing?"
Happens. Yeah. That's what I ended up finally doing is I had given up. I had I was the word I always use is defeated. I was literally sitting in a hole in my room with empty bottles everywhere and that funk that comes out of you, that stinky sweat that's coming out of you. And I wasn't doing anything, and I was literally okay with it. And I was mad at the world, and I was mad at everyone else. It was everyone else's fault. You know what I mean? And and for whatever reason, I just went, you know what? If it's this easy to give up, why not at least give it a shot? Let's see if I can, let's do the opposite. Let's just do it, because I can always go back to being a shitty drunk. That's easy. We can do that this week. But let's try the opposite. And if my life doesn't get any better, then you know what I mean. Then I prove myself right. Then I am wasting my time, and I might as well sit here. I might as well just give up. And so that's where I started too. Is that little voice. I still had enough of a little voice that said, you know what, this isn't working for you, bud. And if you really want it to end, then you just sit here and keep doing what you're doing. But if you have any interest in getting your life back together and living the second half of your life with any kind of enjoyment at all, let's start over. And so that's what I did.
Good for you for doing that. And, you know, looking where you wanted your life to change, right? Because a lot of people that I've interviewed, they've either had a aha moment or some kind of spiritual moment, or, they woke up in the middle of a frickin' alley or in the gutter and they're wet and they've got puke all over them or whatever it may be. And that light finally comes on that says, something's got to change. And like you said, it's easy to go back into that lifestyle, right? It's a piece of cake because that's what we've known for so long. And it's not easy getting yourself out. It's not. It wasn't even really easy. Well, I don't know. I guess you can say it was easy getting yourself in. Getting yourself out's a whole different thing. But when you got the right mindset, right? I mean, you can do it because humans, man, we can do a lot of.
Every day. It's still every single day. Because I mean, I will be honest. I miss going to a dark bar and having a beer and a shot, watching the football game. You know what I mean? I liked that a lot. But the problem is I couldn't just have a beer and a shot and then go home. I was stopping at the liquor store on the way home, and then I would start telling myself I'd only buy this much alcohol because if I bought more, I'll drink it anyways. And then I drink that, and then I'd be so sick in the morning that I go buy beer until the liquor store's opened, and rinse and repeat. And then all of a sudden, it's just to the point where, and I keep saying this analogy, like I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna drink this week. This week I'm gonna take the weekend off. I'm not gonna drink this weekend. But if I said I'm not gonna eat bananas this weekend, everyone's gonna go, how many freaking bananas you eat, dude? You know what I mean? But like for some reason you're like, I'm gonna take the week off of drinking. I'm not gonna drink this month. I'm gonna be like, but if someone said no apples November, everyone's like, dude, how many apples you eating, dude? Like you got a problem
Right.
that you need to take a break from eating apples. But somehow when you say I'm gonna take a break from drinking, everyone's like, oh, good job, dude.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Good. Yeah. Good on you. Yeah. And I mean, you partied with people who also fell into the addiction, right? I know Anthony Hopkins was, I think he was a pretty big alcoholic, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I got a party with Meatloaf. Remember Meatloaf?
I do remember Meatloaf. Yes.
Meatloaf passed away. Yeah, he was doing a movie with my brother, Ballad of Lucy Whipple, with Glenn Close and Jenna Malone and Meatloaf, and we are up in Park City. And Meatloaf was a good dude, but he was a professional ping pong player. Little thing that most people don't know about Meatloaf, and
Wow.
he whipped all our asses all night long. And he had the most potent cocaine. And we were up all night playing ping pong with that dude and had just a blast. Like that's one of those times where you're like, that was a fun night. But you can't, but then the next day you can't just go, well, let's just go back to my life. It's here. That was fun. Now what? You chase that dragon,
Yeah.
that's how do you top that?
So, couple questions. How did
Yeah.
your brothers and you fall? I mean, what got you guys interested in the film industry? And
Right.
did some of your brothers also fall in the same lifestyle that you fell into, or was you the
Yeah.
only one?
No, there's four of us. the one brother, he kind of left. The only reason why he did that in Sandler movies because he makes a lot of money. He says, if I'll only come do the acting world, because he was an actor too, but he went the corporate world and he makes a lot of money. He goes, if you could pay me as much as I make in the corporate world, then I'll come do a movie with you. So then when we get offered to do an Adam Sandler movie, he's like, I'm in. But
Right.
he also, all of us are alcoholics, but Mike was able to quit first. He's been sober 8 years. And then I've been now sober 8 months. And I've been sober 2 years before, but before I would always kind of just like, I'm taking a break. Like, then I talk myself into I'm not alcoholic. It was the circumstances and, you talk yourself into whatever's wrong. So yeah, so then little brother right now is in it really bad, and I don't know what to do, but because I went to Odyssey House, and I'm actually graduating from Odyssey House in 2 weeks. My time there is finally coming to an end, and I busted my butt. Most people don't get through it in 8 months. Some of them take much longer, but you take your own time. So, but I could be a good example, but I can't make him do it. And then my other brother, he seems to be a little bit better. He can just drink beers and after work, and he still functions, but then there's other times he drinks too much and he's punching holes in windshields. Um,
Hmm.
and so, but yeah, we're all alcoholics. But so when I was younger, we did drama and debate. Mom she would write called road shows for the church where she'd write these little plays, and she put me on stage since I was a little kid. Brothers, I was a state champion in drama in high school, got a full ride scholarship on a 2.3 grade point average. Drama and debate, because I didn't know until much later in my life I was dyslexic. And so I would do so poorly on my tests and everything because I didn't know, I'm like, we never studied this. And I would try and try and try. And I felt so dumb because I couldn't get any of my tests. And I realized much later in my life, it's because of the dyslexia that I would know what we were talking about. You could tell you everything, but I'd memorize it differently and I'd see it differently in my head. And so when the answers were A, B, C, D, I didn't see any of the answers. And so it was so frustrating, but I was so good at drama and debate, I still got a full ride scholarship in it. And then I qualified for nationals as a freshman, which is very rare. And I left school before nationals to go do my first professional film. Then they let me come back the next year with my scholarship. And they said, as long as you just stay the whole year, you can't leave, stay here. And then I left again to go play Edgar Allan Poe in a movie. Then I lost my scholarship, and then I just kept doing it. And older brother Dave and little brother Nate, they were doing it as well. And then when we did the Adam Sandler movie, it kind of got much bigger. And then we're living in LA. Nathan got probably the closest of becoming a really big star. He's almost Pyro. He's almost in Dumb and Dumber 2. He was always the other guy, and he'd lose out to Shia LaBeouf all the time. And Shia LaBeouf, every time he'd see him, go, "Oh, hey, what's up, Stevens? Hey, what's up, Stevens?" And Nate got probably the closest, but we kind of derailed our own careers with self-sabotage. But then again, we're still doing it, and so that's where a lot of my self-hate came from, is being in my 40s now, looking back and going, I didn't start a family. I don't have a corporate job. I can't retire. Like, what did I do with my life? It's over. I didn't become as famous as I thought I was gonna be. And so, and I was just so lost in my own pity that I was so mad and angry. But then you step back and you look at all the stuff I've actually done. Anybody that tries to be in this business, they haven't been able to do, they take a third of my career, and they would like, you're so lucky for being able to do all this stuff. But I didn't see it. I was just so angry that I took almost killing myself with alcohol before I finally was like, I'm very lucky. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky, and I've done some awesome stuff, and I still got a lot still to offer, and I still got more to do. I just kind of hit a rut. Maybe they call it midlife crisis. I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
not going to help yourself drinking more alcohol in a day than most people could drink in a week.
Well,
But just
I was gonna say you still have a lot to do, and
right.
first, congratulations, Jim, really on your 8 months and, getting ready to graduate. And gosh, where was I wanting to go? Oh, when you said that you thought your life was over and you're too old, I had someone tell me once that, Colonel Sanders, he didn't become a millionaire till he was in his 60s. I think 64, 65, right? And this guy was telling me, see, it's never too late. It's never too late. And you hear of
I don't
people,
even need to be
going and
famous.
getting their
I don't need to be famous. I
yeah,
still work in film. I still work in television. I still work, you know what I mean? I still work in stuff that most people would love to have that opportunity. I'm still working. I might not have had the projection that I thought it would, but and maybe that happens down the line, but I don't need it to. Like I don't even like honestly, I don't like the the after parties are my least favorite. I'm actually very introverted. So I actually had to turn it into a different kind of person to go to those parties. I'm uncomfortable at those parties. So why did I even go to them anyways? Why was it so important? And so like to the point now where I'd be more than happy. Like I'm doing that. I'm making a documentary, my first documentary on addiction right now. And eye opening by the way, but it's like I just want to make enough money that I can make another one. I don't care if I can just get a small enough little group. I don't care if I'm famous. I don't care if it's my mom paying for them. I just want to make enough money that I can make another.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Good,
so
good,
I
good
don't need
for
to be.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely good for you for still wanting to go. I mean, you've got the talent, right? God's
Right.
given you this talent. You got the ability. Start using it and change. You're going to change people's lives anyway, right? I mean, I'm so excited to see this documentary that you're putting together, right? And I'm serious because I my my version of it is I've not really seen a lot of your work, Jim. I believe in your work,
Right.
and you're gonna open some eyes. And again, I'm
I hope
this
so.
is just my version. This is what I'm seeing in my head. This is the vibe I got off of you when you and I sat down and you interviewed me for the documentary as well. I'm like, this dude's gonna change lives. And I was saying that to myself within 5 minutes of you and I sitting down and talking, right? It's like this
I
guy
appreciate
is really gonna start changing some lives. He really is. And that's why
it.
I'm
And
so
I'm sitting there.
excited to see it.
I'm sitting there with my own insecurities. I'm thinking when I posted that I'm going to start doing this document, I thought I'd get 3 or 4 people that would respond, and I'd have to pull teeth to get people to like want to actually share their stories, and I'd probably have to call in some favors. And my thinking is, why would anybody want to help me? Like nobody, you know what I mean? Like poor, oh, woe is me. And the response I got was on to where I'm meeting people that I don't even know, like yourself, like getting phone calls from people like, I'd love to be involved. And I'm like, what the hell? And it turned into a much bigger monster, and to where it's not just about addiction anymore. It's like there's moms that are talking about their kid, they lost their kid to fentanyl, you know what I mean? There are like, I don't even talk about necessarily a specific doc, because the addiction seems to kind of have the same ugly affect no matter what it is: alcohol, fentanyl, heroin, crystal meth. It doesn't matter what your doc is. That addiction doesn't care if you're white, black. It doesn't care your background. It doesn't care if you have money. It doesn't care if you were loved as a kid or like was beaten as a kid. They don't care. Everyone's welcome to the party. Everyone.
Yeah, it
And so
doesn't discriminate. It does not
nope,
discriminate at all. No.
addiction loves you.
Yes, it does. And for those to our listeners, for when you heard Jim say DOC, that's drug of choice. That's just kind of like the abbreviation that they use in the recovery community. And
Street slang.
yeah, three. Yeah, it's the slang. No, and again, I'm serious. You're gonna change some lives with this documentary, and I see it taking your career to a different level.
Right.
And
Well,
again, this is just my version of it.
even if one
Jim.
person, even if it affects one person, like all my films, I've done a lot of short films, and I mean, my own ones, I've been in big films, but I mean my films, I make short little films, and that they're little art house, little weird films. I've won some awards for them and stuff like that, but nobody even watches them. My own friends don't even watch my films, and I'll win awards for them, and they're like, it's so easy for everyone else to say what they would do different, but it's like, well, what have you made? And so it's real easy for people to tell you what they would do, but they've never made anything. And so and so you're like, why won't my own friends watch my own projects? I'm winning awards for them, and then nobody seems to care. It's like, then you have to realize, they're just living their own shitty life. They probably wish that they were making movies too, and to watch one of your buddies actually succeed at it, it's probably kind of why would you, as much as you want to think that your friends, your best friends would support you, think about it really. Like, it's kind of a hard pill to swallow. Like, I got to go in and work a 9 to 5 of a job that I hate while, you know what I mean? You're winning awards
Yeah.
for making a movie. Like, I could have done that. It's like, so why didn't you?
Yeah,
And
right.
so, so that's why I'd never made a documentary before. And so, these little weird art house films is just kind of set up for, I didn't know that this would turn into what it was going to, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger to where the narrative literally is changing just based on who I interview. I start realizing, okay, and now it's literally rewriting itself to where I think by the end of it, I don't know, it might change again, but I think by the end of it, I'll record my part of it at the end to like maybe give it a through line. But in the meantime, I'm just literally listening to people's stories, and it's fascinating and it's humbling. And I did 4 in a day. I'll never do that again. That was so like just draining. And I was like, what's wrong with me? And I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Like, no, never again will I do 4 interviews in a day.
So when
That
you
was a
said it was when you said it was draining, Jim, you mean emotionally?
oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you not only you reliving it yourself, because you can, like, even when you and I talked, you know what I mean? Like, you go right back to where you're like, yeah, I remember, and you're right back into it. Like, you're right back into the like that lifestyle, and you remember. And I remember being sick, throwing up blood, and like, and when we talked, I bring up stuff like the hiding places, and I bring up what did your room look like, and I look, like, and it doesn't matter what the DOC is, everyone's got them. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, like inside the teddy bear, inside the blah blah blah, inside. It's just like, and the mom was like, she goes, oh my gosh, is that like a normal thing? I'm like, yeah, we all have hiding places. And she goes, I found them in the teddy bears, and I found them over and over and I had no idea. She'd have spoons and needles and teddy bears. And I'm like, yeah, we all have hiding spots. Like, and we
Yeah.
all had the lies and the money and like completely different drugs, but we all had the same kind of tell. And so when you sit there and you hear it, someone who's only been 8 months sober, it really is a kick to the face. Going, that was a year ago. I was falling on my face drunk, um, undependable, couldn't be bothered to answer the phone call a year ago, literally falling on my face, drunk all the time. And so that's when I talk to people now and I say, I wish you could have met me a year ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's sad, but I really wish you could have met me a year ago, because my first thing I said to my therapist, and because they showed me, because I'm about to graduate, they're showing me my notes. The first thing I said was, something's wrong with my brain, it's not working. That was like the first thing I ever said to a therapist. Something's wrong with my brain, it's not
You
working.
you were onto something though, seriously, right? Because
Yeah.
I don't know, just being around what I've been around and seeing my ex-wife go through her alcoholism. Her public defender called me once and said, "Look, the courts are sick of her coming through here. She's getting close to be spending some time in jail for a long period, right? A long period. We're not talking 45 days, 60 days anymore. We're talking a couple years." And he's like, "What do you suggest?" And here's this public defender calling me, asking me what I suggest. And I said the same thing that you said. I said, "You got to get inside her head. It's not the alcohol. I know she doesn't love the alcohol. There's something inside of her head that she's trying to frickin' numb with that alcohol. And I'm not able to get it out of her. I tried. I tried for 8 frickin' years. And I knew some
Yeah,
of the stuff.
I just wanted it to stop. I just wanted to
Right.
stop. Like, just
Yeah.
wanted it to stop. And you drink yourself, but then you don't. It doesn't make it any better. It just prolongs the problem. You're not even getting good sleep either when you're that drunk, and so you're not sleeping anymore. And just to make your brain shut up, but it's not doing anything other than just prolonging it. To Doesn't fix anything.
Well, it
And I could blame on
compounds.
this. Yeah, and I could go through, and I've learned, my triggers, and I've learned, my values, and I've learned, like my relapse cycles, and I've gone through all that stuff, and those are all great. And it's because, like, my mom, whenever I like go see my little brother, she's like, don't drink, don't go drink, don't drink. And I said, Mom, if I wanted to drink, I'd go right now. I go right now and go buy a bottle, like, with $3, I go get hammered. Like right now, it's 11:05. I could go get hammered right now. I said, I don't want to drink. I said, these are the behaviors you should look for, Mom. Like when I start exhibiting these behaviors, that's what you should worry about. I said, and I don't want to drink. I don't miss being sick. It's when I exhibit these behaviors is when I start getting down on myself and basically giving up on myself. And that's when the drinking starts coming back. Because originally what happened was the girl I wanted to marry just broke my heart just in the worst way and let my like on publicly on Facebook and let my whole friends and family watch her break my heart like ruthlessly to
Wow.
where my friends and family thought it was a joke. Like, Jimmy, what do you like? Ha ha ha! Very funny. What are you guys up to? Because we were dating for 5 years. Ha ha ha, Jimmy. What do you? And it was real. And I found out with everyone else that she was dating someone else over. Like Friday, I saw her. She said she loved me. Monday, she's found the love of her life and let all my friends and family watch it happen. And then 3 weeks later, my best friend shoots himself in the head. And then 3 weeks later, after that, Dad died of cancer. And it went from socially drinking on the weekends, probably too much binge drinking and, too much blow here and there to where, I mean, I used to smoke weed all the time. I wasn't smoking weed anymore. But I wasn't leaving the house anymore. I was just drinking. And I told you this story, but I think it's a relevant story. When I was doing a movie, I was supposed to be at my dad's house. He was an alcoholic, and this a movie Hollywood movie set, and this Hollywood movie set has all these alcohol bottles throughout this whole thing. So they've done their research, and there's all these alcohol bottles, but there's rum, there's gin, there's tequila, there's all these different kinds of alcohol. And I just said, yeah, the alcoholic's house wouldn't look like this. And they said, what do you mean? I said, it'd be the same alcohol. It'd be the exact same alcohol. It might be cheaper versions of it, but it would all either be whiskey or tequila, whatever his drink was. That's all he drank. He didn't have a gin night and then a tequila night and then a whiskey night. And then they all looked at me and they said, how do you know that? And I'm like, that's what my bedroom looks like. And it was like, oh shit.
Yeah, right. Wow. But you
Yeah.
you're so right though, right? Again, it goes back to that drug of choice, right? It's not because my ex, hers was vodka for a long time. And it made her meet her in a freaking rattlesnake in a cup. I mean, holy shit, it made her
I
meet.
wasn't mean.
And you're
I
talking,
guess no, I was snappy. I was snappy, but I wasn't vindictive mean, but yeah, I guess I was an asshole, but I wasn't like, I didn't like to fight, but I was a prick. That's
yeah.
fair.
Yeah. And then I finally said something and then she went to rum. So then she started drinking rum, right? And that went to where finally it got so bad to where she couldn't get the money to go buy it. Well, her next DOC was cooking wine because she had no money. So she would go to the store and shoplift cooking wine. That's
Oh, wow.
18% alcohol, right? That's a
Yeah.
lot of alcohol. And I remember one time she
Think people drink
passed out.
Listerine.
Yeah, she passed out in the bedroom. And I went in there to see if she was still alive. Literally, I would put my finger underneath her nose to see if she was breathing, right?
Yeah.
And she's laying on top. She's freaking completely naked, shit scattered all over it because I kicked her out of our room and she was sleeping in this other room. And I remember grabbing the comforter to cover her and I was pulling it out from underneath her and I kept hearing all this clinging. There were freaking 6 empty bottles of cooking wine. Not all these different, not vodka, not rum and cooking wine. It was just
Just
that.
whatever they're
So,
drinking. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So it just stays with that one.
Yeah. And I remember it was vodka and then I got off the vodka and I was sober for 2 years. And then I told myself, oh, okay, I just had a rough patch, girlfriend and then the best friend and then dad. I'm not an alcoholic. I just had a rough patch. Obviously, I have a control over it again. It was just a rough patch. I'm not an alcoholic. And then I slowly started socially drinking again because, you go to these events and it's very easy. I mean, matter of fact, it's hard not to go to these events and drink because it's everywhere and everyone's drinking. And I'm going to be honest, like the first big event I have to go to, because it will come up, how will I react? You can plan and you can say I'm going to do this and you can have all the game plan you want, but you don't know how you're going to react until you're there.
Yeah.
Like if someone puts a big old line of cocaine in front of me, what's going to happen? you know And it's not even today. If I just drank today, I could probably get hammered today and then stay sober another 8 months. But there's a chance that it doesn't do that. A much more likely chance it won't do that. It's much more likely in 8 months from now, fall down drunk, puking blood again.
Right.
That's more likely
It's
than
that
me just going.
Russian roulette,
Yeah.
right? Russian roulette with, instead of having 6 cylinders, you probably got two. One has the bullet and one doesn't. Your
Some
chance,
people eat too much.
yeah,
Some people, like everyone has, and I try to explain, and that's what I kind of this documentary, go back to it, is I kind of, without the DOC, I'm even bringing in stuff like other addictions without them really explaining it. But like, people eat too much, people exercise too much, some people pray too much, some people, like anything in excess. It says in your own Bible, anything in excess is a sin. So can you go to church too much? People don't like to hear that. And
yeah,
I'm like, but
yeah,
it's, you do anything in excess is a sin. It doesn't say anything but religion. You eat too much, you can swear too much, you can bite your fingernails too much, but biting your fingernails is not going to kill you. But it's amazing that it just, everyone has habits. And what's your DOC? Because everyone has one.
I wore one of my shirts at the gym a couple days ago, and it has the saying that I use at the end of every show. And I've seen this guy around the gym before, and I was walking past him, and he goes, "Hey, excuse me." He goes, "Hi, my name's Ronnie." I'm like, "Hi, Ronnie, I'm Al." And he goes, "I was reading your shirt." And he goes, "Are you in recovery?" And we started talking, and this guy this guy really, I think he's just got out of prison, and he goes, "I have a really bad addictive personality." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Really?" And we started talking about drugging and drinking and all this other stuff. And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "I'm working on getting my life back together." And he goes, "Now this place is my freaking addiction." He's like, I traded one addiction for the other, and I'm hoping this one's much healthier than my other one. I'm like, well, heroin or
I
the
traded
gym, I
bananas
would
for
think the
apples.
gym is better, right?
Yeah, I traded apples for bananas, and now I
Yep.
only eat grapefruit.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you hope so. But you hope that this is a. I mean, it's probably better that you're running than than slamming heroin. It's probably a lot
Yeah.
more safer for you,
Yeah.
allegedly.
But a lot of times that's what you find though, right? In recovery, right? Because and I'm not saying this is the route that you're going, Jim. However, I'm maybe you're going to bury yourself in your work again, right? That's going to be your new addiction. Is this is what I'm
Addiction.
going to focus on, and I'm going to go for it. You're going to give it everything that you have, right?
Right.
Because I know
Yeah.
I know my addiction is also this show. I cannot wait for Fridays, right? So it's back to me waiting for 2 o'clock to come so I can call my dealer. I'm waiting
Right.
for 10:30 to
This
come
is
so I
what
can do my show, right? Because
time
it's
is it? What
my
time is
it's
it?
my new addiction. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, but it makes sense. Um, I was going to AA right at the end of last year, sitting at the red light. I've been in two accidents, and both times I was sitting completely still, and I got hit sitting still. One time I was T-boned, but this time I get rear-ended at the light on my way to AA. I get out of the car to go look, and I've been in. It's weird that I'm not saying that I don't get upset and I don't get sad, but I really have a much happier disposition on life all the time now. And everyone, even when I'm going to these classes at Odyssey House, they're like, "Is it a fake or are you really this happy?" I'm like, if we're gonna be here, might as well have a good mood about it. So I get rear-ended and I get out and I'm looking at my car. I'm like, this is bad, man. Okay. The guy jumps out and he's like, "I am so sorry. I just wasn't paying attention." And he saw that I was wearing an Odyssey House We Are Recovery shirt. And he goes, "You're going to the meeting?" I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "Yeah, me too." So I said, "Well, I'll meet you over there." And so we both went to the same AA meeting and exchanged information at the meeting. And everyone was like, you're taking this really well." I'm like, we're both sober. It was an accident. He didn't mean to. We're okay. And I met a new friend. And everyone's like, "That's a great way of looking at it."
Yeah, right?
Now every time we say, "Hey, we have a story," it's just like, or I could have been a jerk about it and said, "You're gonna pay." I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, insurance. It's care of it. So,
You know, it
you know,
it does open our perspective on life. I mean, seriously, it does. You know, yourself, Jim, just in the short time you and I chatted on the phone, and then, you know, when we did the documentary here on the show, as well as with other guests that I've had on the show, you know, all my guests have been therapy for me. They've really helped me understand life a lot and look at things differently. And it's a blessing. That's how I see it. It's definitely a blessing to where things that I probably would have freaked out about before,
yeah.
I don't right now, you know, and hopefully it stays that way, you know,
Right.
because I it does make life a lot easier to handle because when you freak out and you get your emotions all wound up, man, all these other emotions are coming to you. It just compounds the whole, you know, it's like winding up that ball of yarn. You know, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and before you know it, you end up doing something that you regret. However, when if you
Panic
just
attacks.
take things with a grain of salt, right? It it just
Calm
seems
down.
to go a little smoother.
Yeah. Well, since I quit drinking, I'm off all antidepressants. It was my therapist. He goes, I don't think you're depressed. He goes, I think you're just upset. He goes, I think you're sad. He goes, but I don't think you're depressed. So it got me off my antidepressants. I've stopped taking like basically all these meds, high blood pressure meds, and because all my panic attacks and like all this stuff that they had me on, my blood pressure is fantastic. I was just at the Instacare yesterday and seeing what was wrong with me, and I got perfect blood pressure, and I don't take blood pressure meds. I haven't had a panic attack in 8 months. I have a pretty much happy disposition all the time, and I and it. I've lost 30 pounds. All that sugar that you're drinking ain't good for you, even though I just trade it for some other sugar. But I get one a day. I get one a day.
Yeah,
But it's just you kind of start. It's amazing, like, and you forget because you're so angry at the world and everything, and nobody likes me. And in my head, I still think it's still part of there. It'll always be there that nobody likes me, and I leave every situation thinking everyone hates me. And then when you actually genuinely hear people that are sincere and say, dude, within 5 minutes, I was like, I like this guy. This dude's cool. And it's just to learn to take a compliment is like weird. You're like, you say thank you. But
yeah, right.
they don't understand what's going on in my head, where I'm like, how am I expected to ever let anyone love me if I don't even like myself? And so, I start that journey where I just wanted to like myself. I'm still working on loving myself. I can honestly say I'm not there yet, but I can honestly say that I like myself. I really do. But it's just weird to hear people compliment you that's saying after 5 minutes I liked you. It's just like, well, in my head, nobody likes me. I'm a terrible person. I'm goofy looking. And nobody wants to hang out with me. I got a big mouth. Like, why would anybody want to be my friend? Like, and they're like, that's weird that you think about that about yourself. And I'm like, then they kind of go, yeah, I got those thoughts too.
Yeah.
But mine's a little louder, I guess.
You know, with you saying that, Jim, it reminds me of a guest that I had on the show. He's in recovery, and his biggest thing was he was going to be the jokester, right? He's gonna joke with everyone, make sure everyone's comfortable. He's gonna make them laugh. And there was a time where they had their group session, and everyone had to pick a word or two what they thought of that other individuals, right? And he's going, I know what mine's going to be. Everyone
Right,
in this room is going to say, I'm funny, I'm hilarious, I make them laugh. So this is his head telling him this, right?
right,
They start going through everything and they start opening up and reading all this stuff that people said about individuals. And he said, I think there was 15 or 16 people in that room. Not one said he was funny. Not one.
right,
Instead, you know what they said? He's loving, he's
right.
caring,
Genuine.
genuine, has a big heart. And he goes,
Let's
that
include everyone.
exercise that day opened his mind in a whole different area
Right,
because he did not think about that. He didn't look at himself that way, right? He just looked at himself because he was a guy that drank at parties. That's what started his alcoholism, right? when I drink, everybody thinks I'm hilarious. I'm the life of the party. So I'm going to continue to be the life of the party. And even though he's working on his sobriety, that's the mindset that he still had. Come to find out,
Yeah.
people looked at him totally different.
Yeah. Well, like, because I did 4 months of inpatient. I went and lived with, 40 other dudes for 4 months, and I try to everything I do. I try to have, if we're gonna do it, let's at least have fun. So they make you clean toilets. They make you, scrub the floor. They make you, and I'm a germaphobe, and I don't like, big crowds of people. But I had to get past all that stuff. So one day, because you had to pick your chore, I'd always pick the bathroom because I'm a germaphobe. But I'm like, so if I'm sharing the bathroom with 40 other dudes, I'd rather be cleaning the bathroom because then I know it's clean. So I'm in there and I'm just scrubbing the toilet and I'm just singing a song. And a guy who's helping me clean, he goes, "Dude, are you singing a song while cleaning the toilet?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he's all like, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "Well, if we have to clean the toilets, might as well have a good attitude about it." And he was like, "What an awesome way of looking at life."
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Why be miserable? We have to clean it. And so
Yeah.
I'd sing songs, and all the time they just crack up. And then they started making me, I'd be the guy that wake everybody up in the morning, and at 7 a.m. I'd go through each room, and you could be really crass, and I just, wake the F up, you mother effers, and turn on all the lights. And, the ones like, "Shut up, Jim." But it was, but when I left, I got a lot of them, they'd come out and they go, "Man, we missed that so much." Just the fact that you just made something waking up, you just made it fun. Like nobody even thought about stuff like that. And I was just doing it because I'm like, if we're going to clean the shower, sing a song.
There
Why
you go.
not?
You're one that's enjoyed the journey, right?
Yeah.
You jumped
Yeah.
on this path and you're going, I'm gonna enjoy every single bit of it and let's see where this takes me.
Yeah. I said, because I went for a month and a half, and then I was like, nope, not doing it. And I left. And then it slowly went right back to where it was. And so then I said, and I promised not just my mom and my kid, and I have one son, he's 21 now, but I promised my mom, but I promised myself, I said, I will do everything they ask me to do, because the opposite has not worked for me. So I will take every medicine they tell me to take. I will talk to every therapist they tell me to. I'll go to every class. I never missed a class. I was never late for a class. I never got what's called a drop two, where you get in trouble. I never got I got no borders, no trouble. And now in IOP, I've gotten what's called wait. Like if you're late for class, you have to make it up. I've never been late for class. Though I missed my first class yesterday, and I got a doctor's note for it because I'm contagious. Otherwise, I would have been there. But I promised everyone, I said, I will go in and do exactly what they asked, because then I have no excuse. If at the end of it, when I walk out of it, where I'm at this point now, if it didn't work, I can say I did exactly what they asked me to do, and it's bullshit. It didn't work. But instead, what happened is I did exactly that, and now I promised myself, and now here I am, where I have the option to stay with Odyssey House and stay with the graduate program, and I plan on to. I want to stay with the sober support community and stuff, but I did it, and I'm not court ordered to be there. And everyone's like, "Why don't you just tell them to F off and just go home?" I said, "It's important to me to finish." And they say, "Why?" I said, "Because I said I would." I said, "And now I'm here. Why would I give up now?" Like it's just a piece of paper. You're right, but it's my piece of paper, and I want to be able to, I don't want to, even though I've done everything that I thought I should done, and it's no real any difference. It means a lot to me, and it means a lot to my mom, and it means a lot to my kid, and it means a lot to me that I can say I did it. I promised myself, and that's what got me in that position a year ago. Is I gave up on myself and I stopped following through. I wasn't reliable anymore. And so now it's important to me, because damn it, I promised myself.
Yeah.
And if you can't keep your own promises to yourself, if you got no integrity, if your word doesn't mean anything, then you really have nothing. And so that's why I'm finishing.
Good for you.
And
Good for you.
2 weeks away. I just passed off my last assignments with my therapist. I present them next week. And then I said, because I'm the rec coordinator, she would have let me out this week. But I said, I promised that I do the rec coordinator. So I'm going to stay in the program until after rec night, because it's fulfill my obligation. And then I'm going to candidate out. Because I said I would do the rec night. I'm going to be there.
There you go. So I'm hearing your integrity means everything to you right now, right? Because I
Absolutely.
know for me, I did not have that in my past, right? I did not have 14 years ago. People who know me now, if kind of like what you said earlier in the show, if they knew who I was 14 years ago, I probably would not have the type of friends that I have right now.
I understand
Integrity
why
means
people like,
everything.
and I understand I'm not going to be able to fix every bridge that I burned it, but I also understand why some people think I was a total asshole, because
Right,
I
right.
was.
Yeah,
And I understand that, and circumstance, this, that, but and a lot of times I'm at these parties and it comes across I'm an asshole, but I'm uncomfortable. And so when the guy that's at a social event doesn't want to talk to anyone, yeah, it comes across that way. I'm uncomfortable, and with my quick wit, I sometimes say mean things and I don't mean to, and then I leave. Everyone hates me, and so I understand. I burnt some bridges that I'll never be able to fix, and that's okay. That's part of it. But I don't like that guy. I don't want to be him anymore. I don't like, you know what I mean? I don't like who he was. I don't want to have anything to do with him. And I wouldn't want to be his friend. So
yeah,
I can understand why I have that persona of, oh, Jim, he's an ass. I get it. I earned it.
yeah. Yeah, but that's a title you can put in the closet and shut the door, put it up on the
Right.
shelf, right?
Now I'm the guy that's singing songs and cleaning the shitter.
Yeah, cleaning toilets. Yeah, and some stuff popped in my head when you talked about that 'cause, I do home remodels on the side sometimes, right? And
I remodel homes in Beverly Hills while I was in LA. If you ever
cool.
need, I do Venetian plaster. What's up?
Awesome, awesome. We'll have to keep you in mind. And
Oh,
some of the
man.
demos that we've had when it comes time to, demo in the bathroom, I'll do the shower, I'll tear up the tile on the floor, man, I'll rip the sink out, and then when it comes to the toilet, I tell my coworker, I'm like, I ain't touching that toilet. And he's like, "Do you want me to?" I said, he goes, I don't have a problem doing it, right? And then I happen to be on a job site by myself, and the owner comes in and he's pointing out all these things he wants me to do, right? And we go downstairs in this one little side bathroom. And he goes, I need you to tear up the tile around this. And it's a very small bathroom. It's just basically the toilet and the sink, right? And he goes, and we got to get the water off, get one of the shark caps, plug the water. And he says, I need you to rip this toilet out today too. And he says, this one absolutely needs to be done. This other stuff, if you don't get to it, that's fine, but this absolutely needs to be done. And I looked at him and says, I ain't touching that toilet. And this is the guy that I'm working for. And he
Army.
looked at
Yeah,
me like, what?
you
I says, I always have my coworker, I always have Zach do it, right? I'm like,
don't
Zach, you
touch
can do the
toilet.
toilet because I ain't touching that damn toilet. And and he just looked at me and goes, but it needs to be done. I says, I'm telling you, I ain't not touching that toilet. I'm sticking to my words, right? And
I haven't.
he's like, all right, I'll see if I can get someone else to come up. And I'm going out and I'm going through my list and I'm checking things off the list and I have everything done. Everything done.
Yeah,
The only thing that's left is that
that's
toilet.
toilet.
I got the
Yeah,
tile up, I got the sink out, and I thought, you know what? This is freaking stupid. I mean,
and do
really, it
it.
is. Just make sure my gloves are on. I had got under there, shut the water off, um, did what I needed to do, got everything unhooked, got the water
Doesn't feel
drained
bad.
out, and ripped it out. And 3 o'clock comes rolling around, and I text him, and I'm like, "Hey, everything's done, and don't worry about the toilet." he
Yeah,
he actually
got it.
called me. He goes, "You literally you did the toilet?" I says, "Yeah, I did the toilet for you."
Yeah, I mean, I love that story. That's great. It's like, yeah, like I used to, because I'm a germaphobe, I used to take toilet paper and put it on the toilet seat, before it's, because I can't use public bathrooms, and so that's what I would, I do. And then I found out a couple years ago that the toilet seat, the way it's designed so that it can't grow bacteria on it. So the toilet seat is actually one of the cleanest surfaces in the bathroom. The dirtiest surface in a bathroom is the toilet paper. So I was literally taking the most disgusting thing in the bathroom, setting it on top of the cleanest thing in the bathroom for years and years and years and years and years.
Huh, that's crazy.
So
just with the whole conversation about addiction and lifestyle and different things, I had a meeting this morning, went to the gym, and right after the gym, I met this gal that I know. Her name's Becky. Her and her husband John came in and met with me, and we're going over some business stuff. And she said a saying to me that I'm like, I'm gonna freaking use it. And
Yeah.
just because I loved it so much, I'm gonna say it on this podcast, even if it maybe not even fits into everything that we're saying. However, it's almost like us who are on the other side. You talked about talking about your brothers, we cannot convince them to stop doing what it is that they're doing, right? It's their choice. And
Be a good example.
my friend Becky said this. She goes, "A bee can't convince a fly that honey is sweeter than shit." And I freaking like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Right?
Good,
It is
good. Yeah,
brilliant. So
you should
it's
try this.
and I say this, I guess it does kind of fall in the category because, you know, I'm sure you heard this, and I think you even said that maybe your mom even said this to you. I said this to my ex-wife for 8 years. Just stop. Just stop.
You just stop.
I can go out
Why
and
can't
have
you
a
stop?
drink or two and I'm good. Or I can say,
Yeah,
I had a rough day at work. I'm going to go home and have a beer, which I don't drink beer anymore. I could go home and have a beer and then I can get home and go, yeah, you know what? Water just sounds good to me. I don't need a beer.
I'm good.
It goes back to that bee trying to convince that fly that
That's
honey's sweeter than shit because we know
yep.
flies love shit, right?
I love it.
They love it. They
Yeah.
love it.
Mom would say, and that's the one thing I like, because I know we're getting towards the end. So like the one thing I give my mom huge props, because at first she was like, why can't you just pray it away? Why can't you just stop? Why can't you just pray it away? And so she didn't understand, and she would lose her mind because I would read, and she didn't realize that relapsing is part of it, and she didn't understand, and she just thought, why can't you stop? And so luckily she realized, she started looking into it. She started doing her own research, and she started talking to her friends about it, and her friends start going, oh, well, he's in treatment, yeah, so he's trying. Like, well, yeah, like, well, and where's he at? Like Odyssey. Like, oh crap, like you tell other people you're an Odyssey, they're like, I got kicked out of Odyssey 3 times. It's like the Harvard of freaking rehabs. It's not an easy rehab to get through. And
Yeah.
so she starts telling, it's like, well, he's really doing it, you should be proud of him. And so she starts, and like, not that I'm think that I gets kudos because I'm in treatment, but it's like he's really trying. Like that's the effort. Like it's hard, and it's not just something you can pray away. And she's finally started to realize that. And so now she's one of my biggest. I mean, she's always been a huge support, but it's no longer. She knows it's not something you can just pray away. She knows it's bigger than that, and so she supports me, and she tells me she's proud of me, and I know she really means it. So it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Well, you have to have that support, you have to have those connections. And, I was up at the state capitol yesterday for the walk to remember, for those who have lost their life to suicide and addiction. And they had a lot of people from the Senate get up and talk, and other people. And yeah, my ex-wife was there actually, and we had a few, well, she had a few people come up to her and go, "Are you and Al back together?" And she's like, "No, we're not." She
Right.
goes, "But the man still supports me
Yeah.
in my recovery." And it makes me feel good too that I know, not 100%, but I know more than I used to know, and know that support means everything to
Yeah.
individuals that are really working their butts off. She's only 2 months sober,
That's
and
huge. two
that's a
months, one
start,
day.
right? That's a start because
It's hard.
she fell back
That
into it
first
in
week, that
July.
first week is probably harder than anything.
Oh yeah,
That's
absolutely.
so. I don't wish
Yeah.
that sick on anybody.
Yeah. Well, and again, see, a lot of people don't quite understand it, right? Because again, we've not lived in those shoes,
Yeah,
but to have that support, and knowing that I'm there to tell her congratulations. I mean, when she called me and said, "Hey, I don't know if you know, but I've got 2 months today."
that's
Now
awesome.
me, the old me, I would have said, Yeah, okay. So
Eh,
what?
2 months.
You've done 2 months
Yeah,
before. I really don't give a shit. I mean, seriously,
yeah,
that's what I would say to her, right? I
I
could
know.
care less. Not
Yeah,
now. It's like, you know what? Congratulations. You should be proud of
yeah.
yourself, right? Because I know now by my guess and everything else that I've been seeing and learning, that 2 months, that's a tough two
Awesome.
months, right? It's not
Yeah,
easy. And for her to make it that long, I'm going to give her
yeah.
praise. 8 months for you. Congrats on your 8 months. And it could be
All my
gone,
dreams,
you know?
every dream, like at least 3, 4 times a week, my dreams are me relapsing or letting everyone down, or and I'm just like all of a sudden have a beer in my hand, or I'm doing cocaine, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I've let and I'm completely convinced I've let everyone down, I've let myself down, it's starting all over again. What have I done? And then I wake up and I'm like, okay, where am I? I'm in a safe place. Wait, I didn't go do anything last night. Okay, I'm okay. I'm
Right.
okay. And these I have over and over and over again. So I'm so worried about it.
Yeah.
And so but my ex-wife is one of my biggest supporters too. Like everyone's like my dad before he passed away, he's like, go get your wife back. You guys are such good friends. Why don't you go get your wife back? I'm like, well, we're much better friends than we were married.
Yeah.
And Shalise, so if anyone, you guys know Shalise, her 2 kids are my nephew and niece. She was married to my brother Dave. So Shalise is part of my family, and she's still part of the family.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
she's still my sister-in-law, even though she's married to someone else. She's still my family. So
Well, she
like,
even told me that, Jim, in her text when she reached out to me, right? When she said, "Hey, I've got someone who I'm very close to, who is my, I think she said brother-in-law,
yeah,
and said
I mean,
he's doing a
yeah.
documentary, and I think the world of this guy, and that's how
Now
you and I got
my ex-wife,
connected."
all of her nephews and nieces still call me Uncle Jim. They all, and it's really weird too because they, I know they didn't very much like me when I married her back in the day. I know they didn't. But like right now, I'm watching their house. They're all in Mexico. That's where I'm at right now. I'm watching my ex-in-law's house. That's who the dog was. It's my kid's dog. I'm watching their house. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because they know they can trust me.
yeah, that's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
cool.
All right. Well, last question here for you, my friend.
Yes,
What
sir.
does the other side of addiction mean to you?
Good question. Of course, everyone, it would be terrible if it was a bad question. I'm like, oh, a crap question. Well, you got something else? Um,
Well, if
I
it is,
would
tell me. I'll
guess
come up with something else.
more than anything, like, I guess I'll answer it in kind of the way I do everything. I'll make it a little bit more abstract than that because obviously there's hope. Obviously, there is another side to it. Obviously, there is, if you want help, there is help. But I think more than anything, the other side of addiction, because it's I'll always have this problem. It's never going to go away, and it's something I'll fight for the rest of my life. And hopefully, knock on wood, I can stay strong forever. But what I've noticed is the further away I get, and the more involved I get on this part, like the documentary and doing conversations like this and being honest rather than being ashamed of what I've gone through, being honest, it's showing other people. And if even one other person goes, well, Jim did it, why can't I do it? I'm like, I said, Nikki Six got sober. I can
Yeah,
get sober. You know what I mean? Like this, it's possible. Like, and so now at this point, like if I can inspire one other person to stop and not have to be sick anymore, then that's the other side of addiction to me. Is it's no longer about my addiction, because I will always have my addiction, but I just want to show somebody that it is okay. You can have a life again. It's not easy. It was way easier being a shitty drunk, way easier. But it's so much more happier now, and hopefully by just simply being myself, unconditionally and unapologetically myself, people seem to like me, and people like to be around me. And if that's in sober Jim has that kind of influence, then that's my other side of addiction, is the person that I always wanted to be. He was the opposite of the guy that I was hiding from. I just needed to stop hiding.
yeah.
And it's weird. Just I'm much, much happier. And it's from finally admitting that I have no control over it.
Man, great answer. Thank you for explaining that. That was awesome. And thank you for your time, Jim. I mean, seriously, and thank you for reaching out to me and really it was an honor and a privilege and I'm just so grateful and blessed to have been asked to be a part of your documentary. I mean, that meant the world to me. It really seriously did. And again, I'm so grateful for Shalice and for introducing us. And yeah, just happy to have met you and call you my friend.
It's the same thing. And if anytime you need anything, you call, I'll be there.
Well, same here. Same here. That's for sure. So,
Yeah, man.
Jim, again, thank you so much for your time. Listeners,
Sure.
man, thank you. All this is possible because of you guys and all our guests, all our past sponsors. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for you guys. So I am so grateful and so blessed to have every single one of you in my life. Remember this: addiction is giving up everything for one thing, and recovery is giving up one thing for everything. We're out.